That guy, Destiny, that guy's girlfriend.
Are you f***ing kidding me with this? He would weaponize that? He would weaponize Pixie of all people in that particular way? These people are completely full of shit. They're utter frauds.
These two people, these two spoiled, rotten frat cunts who sit there, who both of whom used to promote my content, used to watch and enjoy and learn from my content. They're not that interested in politics and history and foreign policy and like the nuances of the conflict. They're not interested in any of that. That's why like the arguments are all like, it's all straw man, and otherwise it's just personal stuff. I don't really, that's why he doesn't engage with people. That's why he had one debate with Vosh and he still has PTSD from it to this day.
It's just such a pernicious lie to say that LonerBox is a mouthpiece for Israel. It is not based in any kind of factual basis. So like them just constantly, casually making this claim about Loner is pernicious. And they just repeat it over and over and over and over and over and over again. That LonerBox is this like spokesperson, this cheerleader for Israel. But when you listen to Loner speak about these issues, he is quite complex. He's conveying ideas that are quite complex. He's approaching the situation with nuance. But he has said over and over and over again, he thinks that Israel is committing war crimes, that Netanyahu belongs in prison. I've never seen him shy away from criticizing Israel. And Hasan knows this. That's the, Hasan actually promoted LonerBox once upon a time. When I had that conversation with Loner, he said Hasan used to watch his videos, I think, or maybe just watch one video. But Hasan knows this. So this is, it's just a lie. He is just lying. Noah, maybe I don't know if Noah knows this. Maybe Noah actually believes that Loner is this, dedicated mouthpiece for Israel. But Hasan knows that this is not true. So he's just lying. He's just straight up lying about it. And I just don't have respect for people who consistently lie. I don't know about you guys. I think it's a very bad quality. Thankfully, LonerBox is a grown-up. Seems like he can take the heat. He doesn't back away from his positions because of this crazy, insane mob. But his mob, his people, and especially his people, these are some of the most vicious, cruel people that you will find on the internet, which is amazing when you consider the fact that they probably think of they probably think of themselves and their movement as one that is motivated by empathy and a desire for the collective good. And yet, if you violate their orthodoxy in any kind of way, they will come after you just as viciously, in fact, more viciously than MAGA.
He was mad at his own chat, calling him anti-Semitic. I wonder why you have cultivated such a community that would consider any criticism towards Israel to be anti-Semitic. I wonder how.
This is another just obvious lie. Like if I go in LonerBox's chat, this idea that LonerBox's regular viewers, one thing I've learned about LonerBox, his viewers f***ing love him, and it makes me jealous because I'm dealing with the shit show in Twitch. No disrespect, Twitch chat. Every other comment is about being fat and bald. I even got some roasters in the YouTube chat, but LonerBox's chat, they can heavily f with Loner. I have the worst chat on Twitch. They protect their daddy. They offer him protection and comfort. The idea that he might have a few people in his chat pushing back. I have a few people in my Twitch chat that, come in and they kind of do hate watching stuff. And a lot of them are old time viewers, which is very sad and depressing to me. But this idea that even his chat was calling him anti-Semitic. Okay. Was it his chat or was it one guy that found the stream that's hate watching? It's just, I find all of this to be so disingenuous. He's such a fucking weaselly little liar. He is. You shouldn't respect people that lie like this. You shouldn't. They don't deserve your respect. People that lie about this stuff suck.
If all Jews are pro-genocide of Palestinians, you're anti-Semitic for being against the genocide of Palestinians. And I was like, yeah, okay. Who cares? What do you mean? That's such a stupid argument. What do you think?
If that's anti-Semitism, the word doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
anymore. then being Jewish is
just a wild straw man. Like, of course, Loner never said that. Like, of course, he never said anything like this. If all Jews, this is what Hasan said, if all Jews are pro-genocide of Palestinians, you're anti-Semitic for being against the genocide. That's what they're claiming Loner said. Like, do you guys not understand? Like, we need to get Loner Ethan's lawyer. This is what we need to do. That is such a blatant lie.
Being pro-genocide. That's what that means. And
Which
it's like,
is
that's anti-Semitic.
Which is incredibly anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
It is such a stupid argument that you could only put together if you just think like Jews are magical, mythical people or something. Like, what?
Except he never said that though. You're just making it up. Like, I don't understand how people can respect people who lie like this. It's just, this is a lie. This is not, he's not, this isn't like a hyperbole. It's not like he, misunderstood. He's just lying. It's just a lie.
These people are going to be trying to dial back and whitewash what they have been saying this entire time.
Nope. I can guarantee you, 5 years from now, LonerBox is going to be saying the same rhetoric that, in reflection that he's saying now. Like, they're just they live in such a delusional fantasy where we've been talking about this recently, where these people are fully convinced that everyone in the country that's moving away from Israel are moving towards them. They fully believe, like, everyone is seeing exactly what we've been saying this whole time. There weren't any on October 7th, or maybe there were a few, Hamas is in perfect resistance, and they fully believe this. Like, they think their numbers are growing because public sentiment about Israel is going down, and it's just delusional. These people believe that they're justified in lying about people like Loner because they see people like Loner as, complicit in a genocide. And so the ends justify the means. It's completely morally justified to smear him, and it's just disgusting, quite frankly. And we haven't even got to the most disgusting part. There's one particular part that I want to get to that is so fucking disgusting, coming from a self-described like leftist or feminist. This guy says some disgusting shit coming up here in just a minute. Just wait for it.
Whistleblower testimony on Gaza aid plan reveals shocking details. This isn't shocking for anyone but you, LonerBox. You're not even shocked by this anyway.
I have seen so many clips, not just like one or two, and I've had direct conversations with Loner at least a couple times where he's mentioned the fact that Israeli soldiers, I think, I could be wrong, I think he's alluded to the fact that Israeli soldiers are they skew very young, and they're very what would the word be? It's like amateur hour. Like he has constantly talked about various examples of Israeli war crimes. He's also pushed back on other things where people are saying that this one thing was a war crime, and then more information came out, blah blah. So it's not like it's just always one or the other. But I've heard him talk about Israelis committing war crimes so many fucking times. So this title, like BE saying, it's shocking to everyone else who isn't a fucking rabid Zionist or whatever he said. I'm sure this did not shock LonerBox. The idea that the war crimes were happening during this conflict. Why would that shock him? If you're even loosely familiar with Loner's content, why would that shock you?
You're trying to defend a genocide. You're consciously doing so. You know what's happening. You're just trying to defend it. Whoa, shocking details. Everyone knew this was happening from the very beginning. Everyone knows what they're doing in Gaza and why they're doing it. You're just trying to pretend otherwise because you...
Our mandatory conscription is at 18, and it's for 2 to 3 years. So yeah, IDF is pretty young. Yeah.
You're idiot. Well, yeah, you are an idiot. You're stupid. But you're not defending genocide because you're an idiot. You're defending genocide incompetently because you're a shit, terrible person paid by Israel to do so.
Again, that's a knowing lie. Like, that's a conscious lie right there. They don't have any opinion about that, apparently.
Little rats are going to be scurrying out.
I think the saddest part for many of these people is, I don't know about LonerBox, but like a lot of them are not even paid by Israel to do this. Yeah. They're literally...
I don't know about LonerBox, but a lot of them are paid. That's another lie, by the way. Like, he knows that LonerBox is not paid by Israel. He's been corrected on this numerous times. Like, he knows. He's a knowing liar.
Really doing this because they just backed the wrong horse. Some of this does go back to Destiny because these guys are like his dick riders, right? His orbiters. They called themselves that. And basically after October 7, this...
Here it comes. Ready? Get ready, guys.
Moron who is a horrible deadbeat dad and a sex pest decided, oh, Hasan is pro-Palestine. I'm pro-genocide. And he just came out of the gate swinging with that statement, and then had to basically engage in the worst ad hoc rationalizations I have ever fucking seen. And he had the audacity to do this in real time, okay? Basically documenting every step he took, and all of his dumbass orbiters that aren't even getting paid by the state of Israel.
That guy, Destiny, that guy's girlfriend.
Are you f***ing kidding me with this? Are you f***ing kidding me with this? These guys? That guy? He claims to be a feminist? Really? This guy claims to be a feminist? This guy claims to have like progressive values or leftist values, calls himself a feminist, and he would weaponize that? He would weaponize Pixie of all people in that particular way? These people are completely full of shit. They're utter frauds. They're just complete frauds. Like the fact that he would say something like that is so f***ing disgusting. Like it's actually so disgusting. So especially her, to use her in that way as a jab, you do not get to call yourself a feminist at this point. It's ridiculous. It's all performative nonsense. It's just complete fraud. What a like just a gross thing to say. What is your moral system? Are you that flexible with your moral system that you would use somebody in a jab like that? It's disgusting. Somebody explain this to me. Somebody explain this to me, man. I just do not understand. I just don't understand. Whatever. If you claim to be a leftist or a progressive when it comes to like women's rights and the women's movement, if you claim to be a feminist, you would never ever say something like that. Especially her in that kind of way. What a fucking piece of shit this guy is.
I think
He took, and all of his dumbass orbiters that aren't even getting paid by the state of Israel.
that guy, Destiny, that guy's girlfriend. I think something like that.
I don't know.
There's
Yeah.
some-
He knows. Look at.
So good. Oh my God. Look at it.
He knows the way he's responding right now. He knows that was fucking problematic. He knows. He immediately tries to deflect away from that. Hasan knew right away. Ooh, that's not good. And instead of saying to his face, "You're sitting right there," you could just say like, "Hey, that's not cool. Like, why is she catching strays like this?" He could have said that. He could have said that. If that was like my friend and they said something like that to me and I was sitting right next to him, I would look at them and be like, "Yo, what the f-?" I would say something. Why would you not say something? He's smart enough to know that this is a bad thing that he just said. This is not getting nearly enough attention, by the way. The fact that he said that, how is this not making the rounds on the internet right now? This was such a disgusting thing to do. But he knows. Like, watch his reaction again. Hold on.
Weird ass orbiters that aren't even getting paid by the state of Israel.
that guy, Destiny, that guy's girlfriend. I think something like that.
I don't know.
There's
Yeah,
some
I don't-
weird
I don't-
lore with
I
them.
don't know.
Like-
I don't know like the deep details of the lore and their background. I don't care. I don't care to know. It's just like.
But it's just like they're doing it for free because they're
He knew. He knew to back away from that immediately. He knew that was bad. That was not just bad. That was fucking disgusting. That was actually disgusting. Does everybody understand why that was disgusting? That's fucking disgusting. These guys are complete frauds. Like I don't understand. It is vile. Yeah. Wanted to chat with LonerBox and ask him about a couple specific things.
Hello.
Hey man, how's it going?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. I just got done watching your segment on the Noah Samsen Hasan show. I had a couple questions for you. Well, I want you to clear some things up because they made some claims that I found to be quite disturbing.
Yeah.
Yeah. They said,
no.
So there's two particular claims that I want to zone in on because, buddy, you're on thin ice with me if these are true. Okay.
Shit.
They said, Loner said that a one-state solution is anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
Is that true?
No. I think I said that if you imposed it right now, resulting in Jews being a minority in the region, it would yield anti-Semitic outcomes. And I think even the person I was talking to at the time didn't disagree with that. That's obvious, but you know.
Okay. Cleared that one up.
Like in the future, like I would like to see a one-state solution. I think it makes the most sense. Like sectarianism is not a good thing, and forced ethnic majorities aren't a good thing. It's just, time and place.
Yeah, ideally, I think you're, as someone who lives in like a secular Western liberal democracy, like I obviously think that system is better. But the idea that you could just impose it now, they seem to run out. I think what they do a lot is they call that racism. So they'll say this is like people who thought that freed slaves would just murder all white people, or this is like what people said South African like black South Africans would do to white people. It would just be like an actual white genocide, which I just find to be a particularly like shallow kind of analysis. It's pretty predictable that right now, if you literally forced these two groups to live with each other, it would be fucking civil war with horrible outcomes. Okay, all right, you cleared that one up. The other one I think is even more shocking. They said that you said, if all Jews are pro-genocide of Palestinians, you're anti-Semitic for being against the genocide. Do you have any comment on that one, buddy?
No, that's actually true. It's just that it would be justified to be anti-Semitic if that were the case, no? I think they were saying that it wouldn't be anti-Semitic, like it wouldn't be okay to support them, to oppose them because they're Jewish, like they're special. That's kind of where the angle they were going for. But if every Jew wanted to do a genocide, then you'd probably be like, okay, well, why are all the Jews so fucking weird? No?
Wait, no, but that's not what they said. They said you would be anti-Semitic for being against the genocide if all Jews were pro-genocide.
Yeah, no, that doesn't make sense. No.
Oh, okay. You said that there were some other things, like you said literally everything they said was false. I mean, they called
like everything they said, yeah.
Yeah, what I mean, like give me some examples. They were talking about you might, like first of all, Hasan knows by now that you were not paid by Israel. So the fact that he's saying, well, he might have been, I don't know, that's just a full-on lie. Like, right? He's acknowledged at various times that you were not paid, right? Or am I making?
Yeah, maybe. Well, he has no way of knowing. But also, if you know anything about the actual trip, and even if you just look at some of the highlights that were posted that everyone's been spamming around, then you would know that it couldn't have been a paid trip. Like the question because even people just say, oh, well, it was free propaganda, like Vadim and shit. I just ask them, for which faction? Which faction were we propagandizing for? Because it can't be for the government, because we met a lot of people who were anti-government. Most Israelis we spoke to were anti-government. It can't be for Israeli left, because we spoke to a lot of Palestinians who actually are like brutally opposed to the Israeli left. It also can't be for them because we spoke to a lot of right-wingers who hate the Israeli left, like settlers. It can't be for the settlers because we spoke to people who want to kill the settlers. It's almost as if it was just like a trip where we did interviews with different factions in the region who don't really see eye to eye on all that much. Yeah. To
me, it's just a conscious lie. I mean, like, what were the other misstatements?
Yeah, I think the same with the straw men as well, right? Because say like Hasan said, or him and Noah both, I guess, believing that like, okay, there's this guy and he thinks that if all the Jews wanted to commit a genocide, you should still let them do it because they're Jews. This is apparently what this critic of theirs thinks. These two spoiled, rotten frat cunts who sit there, who both of whom used to promote my content, used to watch and enjoy and learn from my content. I've never watched any of their content and I've never promoted any of their content. I always thought that they were both idiots, but they both thought the thing of me. But then now suddenly they're like, yes, this person thinks that if all the Jews wanted to commit a genocide, they should be allowed to because they're special. It's like, that's not them misunderstanding an argument that was made about me. That's just them knowing that there's a critic here that they cannot really handle dealing with one-to-one. So we're just gonna lie. That's basically what that is.
It really blows my mind that people have such low standards that, number one, you should be able, if you're engaged and you're up to date on the lore or whatever, you would know that what they were saying was lies. They were just lying. This is not like misunderstanding or miscommunications. They're just knowingly lying about this stuff. Noah Samsen, at one point, he mocked the idea that Ethan had said that Noah wanted to have him killed. But what other inference are we supposed to draw from we have proximity to these politicians and propagandists and protests isn't working? I know we've talked about this before, but he laughed that off. Like, oh, Ethan.
Wait. It's not even that. What did he say about people who did actually get killed? He said, "Oh, go and read what they were saying."
Oh, right, yeah.
What? The woman who literally was part of an organization called Tech for Peace, which encouraged Israelis and Palestinians mutually working together.
Yeah, to peace, to work towards. Well, yeah.
Charity funded stuff. Yeah. Actually, I know someone whose business who works with those people. And I know someone in a Palestinian in Israel who knows people in the West Bank who have been involved in that project and they've benefited from it. It's like tech 2 peace, sorry. So it's just like that person's done more for peace than Noah ever will. Same with Hasan.
Well, that context, but
what they were saying they couldn't be peace activists. Yeah,
that context obviously matters, but you don't even need that context. When he says protests have not been working, we have proximity to the politicians and propagandists, we need to escalate beyond protests. What the fuck is the most charitable inference you could draw from that? The most charitable inference you could draw is that he wants people to show up and intimidate them. But with the context that you're referring to here, he obviously is amenable or open to just political violence, like literal murder. You know, the idea that the guy brought that murder on himself because he posted pro-IDF stuff, and his girlfriend, I guess, just inherits that baggage. You know, her murder was even more gruesome because she got shot, he reloaded, shot her again, and then shot her again. There were like 3 rounds of shooting as she was trying to like crawl away. Just a horrific murder. And this guy was like, just making light of it. But yeah, like what he said about Ethan, I thought was just unambiguously a threat for political violence. I don't know what, if you pressed him on that, how would he try to weasel out of that? You know?
Well, he wouldn't. He would just cry and shit himself. Like, that's why these people don't, that's why he doesn't engage with people. That's why he had one debate with Vosh and he still has PTSD from it to this day. And that's why he just ever hears the concept of debating anyone ever again and just kind of nervously goes, oh yeah, debate. That's just cringe.
I've never watched I've never watched the debate with Vosh. Is it really that bad?
Oh God, it was so funny. It was so funny. He did this video essay where he did all of the typical snide, snarky remarks at Vosh, and then he gets into the debate and just fumbles like right from the beginning. He couldn't even string a sentence together. The guy was so out of his depth. And then he DM'd me. He DM'd me on Twitter, and he was like, "Listen, was the video really that bad?" And I was kind of like, "Yeah, do you want? I can give you some notes if you want." We never followed up after that. But
wait, you and Noah used to correspond?
No. That was the one time because he shouted me out in his video, his like guide to breadtube video. I don't think I even have the DMs anymore because he'd be banned from Twitter. He's banned, yeah. But no, he did DM me saying, was the debate really that bad? No, was the video they made about Vosh really that bad? Yeah. Another funny story about that debate, and I could kind of prove this, is that not only that, but me and Denims were like in DMs laughing at him while he was doing it.
Oh no.
Yeah, the alignments have all shifted. Yeah.
Oh no.
I remember we were speaking in DMs. We were like, yeah, this guy's really out of his depth, isn't he?
All right.
Fuck. You can see her in Vosh's chat in the debate.
The most disgusting thing that I saw, and it's kind of surprising to me that I'm not seeing more people chattering about it online, because it was just so casually dropped, was the jab that he took at Pixie. Like using Pixie as to try to get a jab on you is fucking so disgusting.
He's a male feminist.
It's so disgusting. Like that should be anathema to everything they claim to believe in. And he just so casually did it. And I don't know if you noticed, but Hasan was smart enough to sort of back away from that. He kind of just immediately was like, I don't know about all that. I don't really want to know. You could tell he knew it was bad.
Because he looks at, you can tell he like knows all the drama. He just kind of pretends to not know and brings it up. And you ever notice that thing that he does when he brings up drama and he's like, oh yeah, so there's this guy, I can't remember his name. Oh, is it Pisco? It's like, bro, of course you know who fucking Pisco is.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. No, yeah, but that's the whole thing. It's like, they've changed brands a little bit right now, right? Because obviously that whole intersectional leftist making fun of red pill people is old content. No one cares about that anymore. Now it's campism, Marxist Leninism, and at the end of the day, those guys don't really care that much about anything intersectional. They don't care about feminism or anything else. So
well, I know he claims he espouses himself to be a he espouses like feminist rhetoric. He calls himself a feminist, if I'm not mistaken. So the fact that he would just so flippantly invoke her of all people, like after everything that she's like been through in the last year or so, that he would just use her as like a cheap jab like that is so fucking disgusting.
Yeah. I mean, they've all done it.
It blows my mind.
I think actually the only person who hasn't done it, as far as I know, is Hasan, because he's obviously, he's like 30 IQ surrounded by people who are 12 IQ.
I just found that to be astounding. I saw that. I was like, oh my God. Like, I don't know how they get away with this. Like they've seen, ostensibly they're fostering a more like left-wing, audience that has more progressive values when it comes to like gender stuff. But in a moment, just as a way to try score cheap points against you, they would weaponize like what happened to Pixie in that way. It just blows my mind. It just absolutely blows my mind. I feel like more people should be talking about it. It's crazy. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they can find one tweet of Pixie saying bad things about Hamas, and then they would just excuse any attacks against her as well.
True. All right. Well, I hope you're well. Just wanted to. Was there any other thing that popped out of you during that discussion of you? Or did we cover all the bases there?
I don't know. It's just boring. Like it's a dull game because like again, these guys. I feel like I'm just playing in the wrong sport, like in the wrong weight class, like the wrong everything, right? Because these people, I don't really make those kinds of like personal life attacks very often, if at all. But it feels like those guys they're not that interested in politics and history and foreign policy and like the nuances of the conflict. They're not interested in any of that. That's why like it's just the arguments are all like it's all straw man, and otherwise it's just personal stuff. I don't really. I don't know. They're like slop creators. It's like being in a fucking boys' toilet. Like you're not going to get a good discussion Israel-Palestine in the boys' toilet. You know, no disrespect to fucking high school bullies or whatever. Yeah.
Well, it's a bit ironic considering they constantly claim that they don't do drama slop, which is hilarious. But the way that I described it to my chat, I'm sure you'll agree, is they have constructed this very rigid binary when it comes to Israel-Palestine. And Contra touched on it a little bit, but you and me had been talking about it before she made that observation. But there's basically two requirements for that. Maybe three requirements. So there's like maybe three requirements. So like the first one would be that you believe in a one-state full right of return. The second would be that you oh god, chat. What was it? What was the other one? You have to call it a genocide. And then the third one would be that you
oppose the terrorist organizations.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oppose them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oppose targeting civilians. You actually have to be in favor of it.
Right. Yeah. If not explicitly in favor, you just can't condemn it. So like you can say stuff like it's imperfect resistance, but you can never fully condemn like the Houthis or Hezbollah or Hamas. So that would be like that three. And so like anybody outside of that, of their side of the binary, they just put everybody in one big bucket where they're just like super hardcore Israel supporters. And anybody who's in that bucket, I think in their minds, they think it's justified to lie about these people in order to smear them. I think they see it as kind of like a miniature form of agitated propaganda where the ends justify the means. And if you can turn people away from people like you or Ethan or whoever else, then it's justified because you've pulled people away from this genocidal perspective. I kind of also just like to think that some people are sometimes maybe a little bit more. I always come to this conclusion that people are a lot less inconsistent than you think. I feel like people being actually inconsistent is something that would be quite jarring to live in that way as someone who's not consistent with principles. But with these guys, I think it does make sense, right? Because it's like that. The pickup artist comparison, like this one simple trick will solve everything. Like they live in a world where all of the bad things that are happening that they care about are a billion times worse than they actually are. You're right. It's not like a hunger crisis or anything else like that, or like war crimes. It's a genocide like the Holocaust and a Holodomor famine. Like it's all those things. So it's all exaggerated. And then also the solutions to those problems are a million times more simple. Right.
All you have to do is pick up the phone.
Exactly. Yeah.
In 20 minutes, you'll say the right combination of words that would just stop the conflict in Gaza.
Yeah.
Unilaterally. It's like, if you believe that, then you're like it's like the equivalent from them. And this is why they get so hateful, I think. Imagine like watching a trolley problem, except the trolley is about to run over like 100 babies. And if you pull the lever, it's just going to turn onto another lane that's completely empty. And you're watching someone standing at the lever, scratching his head, wondering if it's a good idea to pull it.
Yeah.
And in that situation, it's like, yeah, you would kind of hate that person. You would get like mind fucked and think like, oh yeah. And imagine someone came and said that, oh yeah, that guy like is okay with just letting 100 babies die. Would you really want to go and correct them and say, actually, it's only 50 babies? Because again, that's how they view lying about people.
Right.
Like
yeah.
You understand? Like, it's just not. There's not really any qualitative difference.
So instead of framing it as we're saving 50 babies, they would frame it as, oh, so you want to kill 50 babies? And it's like, well, wait, hold on, hang on a second. The outcome over here is just way worse. I'm just I'm just trying to reduce the amount of harm. But their simplistic sort of their simplistic view of how these things are resolved, it's all like Green Lantern stuff. I think did I tell you about the Green Lantern theory of politics? I've been on a kick about this recently.
Article, which I will definitely read. It's definitely on my list, and I always get back to things.
So it's fine. It basically touches on what you're talking about, and it applies it to domestic politics. And it's basically the theory that, you know, presidents are all powerful and they can do anything if only they had the sufficient amount of grit or charisma. There's like different branches of Green Lantern, but there's also like the Green Lantern theory of geopolitics, and that is the Hasan claim that he could end the war with a single phone call, which when you unpack what he was saying, it was ridiculous. Like, you just pick up a phone call and you say you're going to cut off all aid and assistance and arms. It's like, well, hang on a second. You need Congress to do that. He can't just do that unilaterally. And then the second one he did was like threaten sanctions. The president can do unilateral sanctions. So that part, I guess, was accurate. And then the third part was, if that doesn't work, we invade. It's like, okay, again, you cannot just like as president just say we're going to invade this country. If you're going to invade a country and declare war in that kind of way, you 1000% need congressional approval. And so it's just this, their whole worldview is that the morality of these situations are very clear cut. And they think that similarly that the methods of resolving these problems are cartoonishly simple, and it's all bullshit. It's all nuts. And so then their audience, they're primed to believe that all of these problems can be solved just by snapping your finger. And so when they see the Democrats, for example, fail to get like a $15 an hour minimum wage, their brain just immediately goes to, well, they just didn't try hard enough, or they didn't actually want to do it. Because again, in their minds, it's really that simple. You just vaguely use the bully pulpit or something. But it's a big problem.
Get Bernie Sanders to do a rally in West Virginia.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it.
And get the most conservative Democrats in the country to become the most left-wing ones. Yeah. Yeah,
it's a core part. It's a core part of their beliefs, and they're priming a really young audience who maybe don't know a lot about like historical reference or just like the basic structure of government, and they're priming their audience with hundreds of thousands, millions of these young people who are now they just fully believe that any kind of failure to get policy done or end the conflict of Israel in Israel or in Gaza, any kind of failure to do these things is a failure of like will or intelligence or charisma, and it's a big problem. It's a really big problem, I think.
I did. I don't know if you covered this, but you know that every single claim about U.S. presidents stopping Israel with a phone call are like bullshit, right?
Yeah. When I looked into that, Reagan, what happened was it was a UN building that got bombed. I think like 200 UN like members and their families were killed. And Reagan picked up the phone and he did pause weapons shipments to Israel, I think, during that time. But the pause, I think, was only for like 2 months. And the Israel-Lebanon war went on for another year and a half. Yeah. I don't know if that's what you're referring to.
You're thinking about very early on. No, there's the other one that was like near the end as well, where he spoke to Begin about, because it was when there were those strikes in Beirut where Sharon wasn't able to use the ground forces or the paratroopers, so he just launched an airstrike campaign in West Beirut and killed like 300 people. And Reagan made a phone call about that to call it off. But then the bit that people missed from that story is that by the time Reagan got on the phone with Begin, the cabinet had already called off the strikes. Like, no one wanted that. That was completely unnecessary, because again, it's like one of those things where if you only learn about these things, like a particular phase of a conflict, through just this kind of post-it note knowledge, you miss a lot of like obvious things and details that would make a claim like that impossible. The whole thing about the first Lebanon war was that Sharon, the defense minister, was more or less fighting that war in his own way. So much of what he did didn't have cabinet approval, or he lied to get cabinet approval. So there was a lot of things that happened in that war that the cabinet called off as well. And that was one example. So by the time Reagan got on the phone, the prime minister was having a nap, because they'd already called off the strikes and reprimanded Sharon for doing them. But yeah.
I think we are talking about the same thing, but the war went on for another year and a half after that, right?
No, this is at the end of the war. This is at the end of the war where, Oh, it might be the same. This is in West Beirut. This is the time. This is just a week before the PLO left the country.
Okay.
So the occupation's carrying on after that, but not the war. The war was pretty much done by then in Beirut.
Okay. Maybe I got my facts wrong on that. I defer to you. But yeah, no, this is I got some people in chat are mad that I'm saying Green Lantern so much, but this is like reverse Green Lantern. So like what they do with Green Lantern, they also like they impose that assumption about power on Republicans. And so they claim that Reagan was all powerful because he was able to stop the war with a single phone call. They claim that Trump was all powerful because he is, he successfully bullies his own members of his own party, even though it's demonstrated that this has been a remarkably ineffective strategy. And so they do that to contrast the two parties. They're like, I don't know if you've seen it in your chat, but I get a lot of people question, like, why can't, Democrats fight the way that Republicans do? Like, why don't we see them, like Republicans, they literally think like Republicans should get everything that they want because they don't play by the rules. And the Democrats are just like these weak little pussies that get like nothing done. But of course, like, it's just not true. When you interrogate that claim, like, wait, hold on, do Republicans get everything that they want? Like, when you even just explore that just for a few minutes, it's just comically false that they get everything.
Yeah, how many things did Trump try to get through in 2016 that he failed to and Biden managed to get? Like infrastructure. That was something that Trump tried to do and he failed.
Infrastructure of the border
with 50-50, yeah.
Infrastructure of the border wall. He didn't get funding from Congress. He had to go around Congress to do that. He failed to repeal the ACA. Of course, they lost seats in Congress because he kept on propping up like really extremist candidates that were not good in a general. The candidate quality was really bad. And so Democrats have been able to prevent a lot of losses. Like we should have sustained more losses in 2024, quite frankly, coming off of like a period of inflation. The margins in Congress should not be this close. Like they should have like an 8-seat majority in the Senate and like a 35-seat majority in the House, but they're really slim margins because Trump he's bullying all the moderates out of the party. And so now these extremists are not doing as well in these elections. So it's just a bad strategy, but they're convinced that it's a good strategy and it's an example of strength that we should emulate, and they're just wrong about that. But
listen, that's great, but remember that time that Noah like lied to that girl about the other people that he was shagging, and then he gave her like 17 STDs?
Ooh, shit, he brought it up. I wasn't gonna bring it up.
Ooh, yeah,
damn,
bro.
Damn. Anyways,
sorry, I'm just trying to. I don't know how people can do that with a straight face.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's only half of that story is true.
Right. Yeah. Anyways, good talking to you.
Okay.
Hope you're doing well. Take it easy, buddy.
Say Green Lantern one more time.
So the Green Lantern theory of politics is when, okay, we'll just leave the call.